to move, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the Health Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 12 of 2025, be read a second time.
Now you may now proceed.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. The amendment, Mr. Speaker, proposes to amend the Health Act 2025, Mr. Speaker, by inserting a new section 7A to address a number of issues affecting those who are not able to pay medical bills that are incurred in our public hospitals and in some cases in our private hospitals. Mr. Speaker, I am sure that all of us senators from our respective counties, we have had instances, Mr. Speaker, where those we refer to as hustlers, those who are not well endowed financially, get attended to in hospitals, they incur medical bills, Mr. Speaker, but because they don't have the economic means, Mr. Speaker, they end up not paying their medical bills, either in public hospital, Mr. Speaker, or in private hospitals. And Mr. Speaker, what has been happening, which is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, is that hospitals have resorted to recovering their debts by either detaining patients, in some instances, detaining mothers and their young children in hospital as a way of holding them in lien till their debt is paid. So, Mr. Speaker, the proposal on the table through this amendment is to outlaw any detention of a patient or a corpse due to an outstanding fee incurred in relation to any treatment offered in a health facility. And Mr. Speaker, to make that proposed amendment effective, Section 7A, subsection 2, Mr. Speaker, proposes that anybody who is in charge of a health facility who contravenes that section that outlaws detention commits an offense. And thirdly, Mr. Speaker, so that we have a buy-in from the government, Mr. Speaker, I've proposed in clause 3 that the cabinet secretary responsible for health issues will make regulations on the enforcement of this proposed amendment. Mr. Speaker, I want to emphasize before the honorable senators here that this amendment is anchored on a number of constitutional rights that are guaranteed in our Constitution 2010. Mr. Speaker, we all know that when the 2010 Constitution was enacted, it created a very vibrant Bill of Rights, Mr. Speaker. And some of the rights that were guaranteed to Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, is what is found in Article 43 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to read the entire of Article 43, but in a nutshell, Mr. Speaker, Article 43 states that every Kenyan is entitled to a right to the highest attainable standard of health, including the right to access health services. Mr. Speaker, this right belongs to the rich, to the mighty, and to the poor, Mr. Speaker, or to the less privileged within our society, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, when Kenyans enacted Article 43, Mr. Speaker, they knew, Mr. Speaker, that amongst us, there are those, Mr. Speaker, who are not well endowed financially to meet their bills the way me and other honorable senators are able to, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the fact that a Kenyan does not have the financial means, Mr. Speaker, to meet certain financial obligations, especially when that Kenyan is in need of health care services, Mr. Speaker, does not mean that they lose their dignity, Mr. Speaker. Worse still, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that there are some fundamental articles in our Constitution that are breached any time you detain a patient because of inability to pay for their medical bills. Mr. Speaker, being a lawyer, you know what is provided for in Article 29 of our Constitution, which states that nobody should be deprived of their liberty arbitrarily, Mr. Speaker. By detaining a patient who has walked into a health facility, received medical attention, and then instead of releasing that patient, you detain them till they settle their bills, Mr. Speaker, that is tantamount to depriving that citizen of their liberty arbitrarily, Mr. Speaker. Second, Mr. Speaker, Article 28 of our Constitution, Mr. Speaker, obligates all of us Kenyans to ensure that any treatment that we vest on any Kenyan incorporates human dignity, Mr. Speaker, so that anything that is inherently degrading to any Kenyan is a clear violation, Mr. Speaker, of Article 28 of our Constitution, Mr. Speaker. And I want to state here, Mr. Speaker, as a person from the great county of Nyamira who has had personal experiences, Mr. Speaker, where mothers have given birth in hospitals and been detained for more than a month with their young children, Mr. Speaker, because of inability to pay for their medical bills, Mr. Speaker. In one instance, Mr. Speaker, and that's what has moved me to come with this amendment. A poor mother, Mr. Speaker, was detained, and I don't want to give her names because I want to respect the dignity of that Kenyan, Mr. Speaker, was detained in an hospital, but because she was not able to pay for her bills, Mr. Speaker, she was forced to sleep on the floor with her child, Mr. Speaker, because the hospital was saying only those patients that are able to pay their bills will be allowed to enjoy the facilities of a bed and a mattress, Mr. Speaker. Just imagine that kind of degrading treatment. In another instance, Mr. Speaker, I had to intervene, Mr. Speaker, when our National Referral Hospital detained a patient, Mr. Speaker, who was knocked down by a vehicle, rushed by the police to Kenyatta National Hospital for emergency treatment, Mr. Speaker, after staying in that hospital for a record 58 days, Mr. Speaker. That poor Kenyan incurred a bill of 1.7 million shillings. And when he passed on, Mr. Speaker, the hospital refused to release that body, insisting that they were detaining that body as lien for the recovery of that debt. You are a lawyer, Mr. Speaker, and you know, Mr. Speaker, that in law, Mr. Speaker, you cannot claim property in a dead body. There is no property in a dead body, Mr. Speaker. We all know, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, to bring to an end this kind of degrading treatment, Mr. Speaker, we are proposing that we legislate, Mr. Speaker, to make it criminal for any health facility, Mr. Speaker, to detain a person solely on inability to pay for any medical expenses incurred in our hospital. Mr. Speaker, I know that as a country, we are moving towards universal health coverage, Mr. Speaker. You and I, Mr. Speaker, pay a lot of money towards SHA because we want to contribute for those who are not able to pay for their either insurance or for getting that SHA card, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know that you, I, and every other senator, every month, we contribute a whooping 43,000 shillings, Mr. Speaker. While there are Kenyans who pay as low as 800, we pay more, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that these poor Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, the less privileged in society, can enjoy from our contributions, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, really there is no justification, Mr. Speaker, for us as a parliament continuing to see the kind of suffering that Kenyans go through. Mr. Speaker, what I've stated this afternoon that is incorporated in our constitution is also backed by best international standards and many other international conventions. Mr. Speaker, we all know that under Article 2, Sub-Article 6 of our Constitution, any treaty or any convention that has been ratified by Kenya shall form part of our laws, Mr. Speaker. That's in the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights that has been ratified by Kenya, our country, in Article 11, states very clearly that no one shall be imprisoned merely for inability to pay a debt or discharge a contractual obligation, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, if international conventions have acknowledged, Mr. Speaker, that it is unlawful, illegal to detain or imprison somebody for inability to pay a debt, Mr. Speaker, on what basis can a hospital, Mr. Speaker, purport to detain a patient or a corpse, Mr. Speaker? Near home, Mr. Speaker, the African Charter on Human and People Rights, Mr. Speaker, which again, going by the provisions of Article 2, Sub-Article 6, has been ratified by Kenya, Mr. Speaker, states, Mr. Speaker, that no one may be deprived of his freedom except for reasons and conditions previously laid down by law, Mr. Speaker. In particular, and I lay more emphasis there, no one may be arbitrarily detained, Mr. Speaker. So by us allowing our health facilities to detain any Kenyan purportedly due to inability to pay for their medical expenses, Mr. Speaker, we are contravening our constitution, we are contravening international conventions that we have ratified as a country, Mr. Speaker, and every act, Mr. Speaker, done by those hospitals is unconstitutional, Mr. Speaker. Further, Mr. Speaker, there is no law. I've gone through all our statutes, Mr. Speaker. There is no law that allows anybody to detain another person as a means of debt recovery. There is no law, Mr. Speaker, to that effect. There is an option, Mr. Speaker, for hospitals to recover those debts. You can sue for a civil debt, Mr. Speaker. If the person refusing to pay is in a well-paying job, Mr. Speaker, you can garnish their salary, Mr. Speaker. You have all those options. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the issues I'm raising this afternoon as I move this amendment have been tested in our courts of law, Mr. Speaker. And on numerous occasions, Mr. Speaker, when courts have been faced with cases on detention of patients in hospitals or detention of corpses for non-payment of bills, Mr. Speaker, courts have ruled, Mr. Speaker, that detention of such patients for inability to pay their medical bills is unlawful, is arbitrary, and is unconstitutional. So there is no doubt, Mr. Speaker, that what is provided for in the Constitution has gotten favor, Mr. Speaker, from our courts, Mr. Speaker, through judicial pronouncements. Mr. Speaker, I've also tried to look at, maybe the prevailing best international standards in many countries. Mr. Speaker, in the UK, Mr. Speaker, under the National Health Service, Mr. Speaker, patients cannot be detained in hospitals simply because they are unable to pay hospital bills. That is from our former colonial master in the UK, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the emphasis, just like what is provided for in our Article 43 of Constitution, is that the obligation is to ensure that if a patient is brought to a hospital, what can be criminal is failure to give medical attention to that patient. That's what can be criminalized, but not the idea of saying somebody came, got treatment, and is not able to pay their medical bills. Mr. Speaker, in the UK, hospitals do not have the legal power to detain a patient for unpaid medical bills. None at all, Mr. Speaker. Even if you go to Google or internet, Mr. Speaker, you will not find any instance where a hospital in UK, Mr. Speaker, has detained a patient for inability to pay their medical bills, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the US, Mr. Speaker, the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, Mr. Speaker, again places emphasis on an obligation to attend to an emergency, Mr. Speaker, to treat a patient first before you deal with issues of recovery of a debt, Mr. Speaker. And the issue of detention because of non-payment of any bill is actually illegal in the US, Mr. Speaker. You cannot hold a patient hostage or a corpse hostage because they are unable to pay for their medical bills. But you can file a lawsuit, Mr. Speaker. You can do the accredited damage, which you can do in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. If Senator Omogeni takes a member of his family, God forbid, in a hospital, and I run away from paying my debts, list me under the credit rating to damage my reputation, Mr. Speaker. If not, file a lawsuit in a court of law, Mr. Speaker. If you get the court orders, you can garnish my salary, Mr. Speaker. Or if I have any asset, Mr. Speaker, come after me, Mr. Speaker. In Rwanda, Mr. Speaker, there is a very strong public health approach to making sure that the poor access health care services in Rwanda here, Mr. Speaker. So if you look around many jurisdictions, Mr. Speaker, we don't have jurisdictions where this very bad practice of detaining patients is encouraged or even tolerated, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, in moving this bill, Mr. Speaker, we want to send a message, Mr. Speaker, that we value those who are not well privileged in our societies, but also acknowledge the fact that, Mr. Speaker, they have a right to access medical services, just like any Kenyan, Mr. Speaker, and to re-emphasize, Mr. Speaker, that they have a right to be treated in a very dignified manner and not in a very undignified manner, Mr. Speaker. Detention for non-payment of bills or holding patients hostage, Mr. Speaker, is a practice that this Senate should condemn, Mr. Speaker, by enacting this particular bill, Mr. Speaker, so that we ensure that Article 43 has rights that can be enjoyed by all Kenyans. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, if I ask Senator Wambua or Senator Mugatana or my good friend, Chair of Labour, Senator Murgor, these are instances that has affected one or two of, or even many, of their residents from their respective counties, Mr. Speaker. So I seek the support of honorable senators, Mr. Speaker, so that this bill can see the light of the day, Mr. Speaker, so that the great people of the county of Kitui, the great people of the county of Nyamira, West Pokot, Tana River, Mr. Speaker, can enjoy the rights that are enshrined in Article 43 of the Constitution. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to take a lot of time because I want to donate time to my friend Senator Wambua to second this bill. But I urge senators, Mr. Speaker, to back this bill that will bring smiles and dignity to those who are underprivileged in our society. I beg to move, Mr. Speaker, and ask Senator Wambua to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senior Counsel Okonkwo.